What's up, wrestling fans? Here we are again, episode I think 59 of our podcast. Can't believe it.
Wonderful.
Yes. A lot of things to talk about. That's especially going to be something we're going to have to talk about later. I can't wait to talk about that. That's like the only thing I want to talk about on Monday Night Raw, basically.
Yeah, Monday Night Raw was kind of a dud for me this week, but the sad thing is Hulu didn't have that, but I got to see it on YouTube.
Okay.
Or YouTube and Twitter, but I'm privy to it. I used the word privy. That's what I did.
Privy. The rest of the show is going to be on Old English. Welcome to thy wrestling podcast. Don't know why I said that like Patrick Stewart, but what is your favorite thing about the worldwide wrestling entertainment? Because we'll make it so. Anyways,
Yep.
Plugged Next Generation for goofiness. We're just two guys just shooting from the hip and being weird.
That's right.
So, last week was Thanksgiving, and good holiday, good turkey, good stuffing, good mashed potatoes, good food, good times. So
See?
it was a good holiday and good wrestling and stuff like that. So, Jeremy, just any news you hear of today before we get into the meat of the show?
Not really.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of rumor out there. There's a rumor that AJ Styles will be retiring after WrestleMania 34. He's getting older. He wants to be part of his kids' lives. There's that rumor. There's not necessarily a rumor, but the Bullet Club, mostly the Young Bucks and Cody Rhodes, they want to put on their own wrestling event.
Mm-hmm.
They want to fill a 10,000 seat stadium. They want the help of ROH, and Cody has gone on record to say that he wants to face Daniel Bryan. That would definitely get 10,000 people.
Totally.
In the arena. They're looking around now. If they do the Daniel Bryan, they would have to wait until September if WWE doesn't allow Daniel Bryan to wrestle. His wife has come out to say that other doctors outside of WWE have cleared him. But the WWE specific doctors have not. I totally understand. They want to make sure that he lives to a good age.
Yeah, and they don't want to be the company that okayed him and then led to him getting severely injured, because he had a lot of neck and spinal problems, and so it's just like, if they clear him, they let him wrestle, and then he goes crazy, they do a big spot, they mess up, there's a botch or something, and he hurts his neck and is wheelchair bound for the rest of his life. If that happens on WWE's watch, I'm sure Vince and Hunter would just feel absolutely terrible about that, and they're just kind of they're protecting Daniel Bryan and they're protecting themselves, and it's a good call. Because it's a good call, but at the same time, I'm sure he just loves his business and he just wants to wrestle. So I understand both sides completely, and I don't fault both sides, and so it's kind of a weird checkmate that they're at, kind of.
It is, and would WWE make a lot of money if they put Daniel Bryan back in the ring? Absolutely. I think their pay-per-views.
I don't think
go up
in the past 5 years, maybe even 10. I can't think of anybody who's been more over.
Yep. Yeah, I mean by the fans especially. With the whole yes movement, and so it's a double-edged sword. You allow him to get back in the ring. Could he come up with a safer style of wrestling? Absolutely. Like, he could be a chain wrestler for the rest of his career. He could. He's really, really good at it. But is that what he wants to do? I don't know. It's a double-edged sword, and like you said, you understand the business side. You want him to be as safe as possible. You want him to be healthy. You want to draw money off of him. How do you do that?
Mm-hmm.
Do you let him go and see what happens, and maybe in the next couple of years, he's still a young dude, and he could still come back, and kind of in a legend's capacity eventually. But I don't think that's what he wants to do, and I don't blame him for wanting to go to ROH or even New Japan for a long stint. But WWE probably is in the right here. Keep him safe.
Mm-hmm.
let his contract expire, draw as much money as you can off of him for now, and see what happens. But we'll see. Maybe he will wrestle. Maybe he won't. At least in the WWE, he'll wrestle again. Probably late 2018. But anyway, I can't think of anything else.
Yeah, I really haven't heard anything. Oh, except Goldberg is going to be guest starring in an episode of The Flash on CW this season, which is pretty awesome. They've had a lot in those shows, the Arrowverse shows. They've had a lot of wrestling guest stars, like Cody guest starred on Arrow, which is funny. Their bromance, Cody Rhodes and Stephen Amell's bromance, like is like the celebrity version of us, kind of like,
Yeah.
like their bromance is really funny because Stephen Amell is a huge wrestling fan, and he wrestled Cody when he was Stardust at SummerSlam like 2 or 3 years ago, and by all accounts he did a great job. I might have to go back and watch that. I haven't seen that one, but yeah, that's the one I definitely want to go back and check out. And then he just wrestled in like Ring of Honor, right? Or
I don't know if it was
some
Ring of Honor.
indie
It
promotion.
was an indie promotion.
He wrestled either with or against Cody or something like that. But yeah, it's just like, man, I wish I was a celebrity or at least a millionaire so I could become friends with wrestlers and go to wrestling shows all the time. Like,
no joke.
Pretty sure I'd have to steal you away from your family like once a month to go to a Raw or a SmackDown or something.
We're gonna fly to California.
Hey, we're gonna go to Vancouver. Why? Because it's Survivor Series or whatever,
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really cool. So and then was it 2 years ago? Edge played Adam Smasher on.
Which I forgot that it was Edge.
You really?
Yeah, I was because when they said Edge was on, I was like, really?
Yeah, he was on Flash. He played Adam Smasher, and if I'm missing anybody else, I can look it up later. But that's the only one I can remember. So yeah, I don't know who he's playing. I haven't heard, but
I don't either. All I know is
cool.
That the Goldbergs spots that he was in, the one episode where he was the gym coach's brother, that was a brilliant. Like he did really good writing. So if you get a chance to go watch that one, the Goldbergs, the episode with Goldberg in it, that was really good. And he shows up for the Thanksgiving one because they have a bunch of people over, and he's one of the guys.
I want to have to check that out. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's really funny. The Goldbergs is a great show anyway, but that his stuff was just hilarious, and he attributed it to like the writers and stuff. But he pulled that off really well. So I'm intrigued to see him on the Flash. We'll see what happens. And I haven't watched any episode of the Flash, which is sad, but I probably have to wait until it gets on after the end of the season and it's on Netflix.
But a pretty decent season so far.
Yeah.
Yeah. CW, good programming. Just plug them too while we're here. CW, lots of good programming there.
Yep.
And and they have like syndication rights, like they show Ring of Honor wrestling on the CW, and I think sometimes they show it on Fox too or something. I don't know, but so that makes sense that Stephen Amell could go do if it was Ring of Honor or indie promotion or something like that. So that's anyways, doesn't matter. All right, so we're gonna just do a quick recap of last week's things, anything that we liked about last week's shows and stuff, and then we're gonna do our more in-depth recaps for this week. But anything last week that you can remember that you really liked from either Raw or SmackDown? Anything in particular that really grabbed you?
I'm trying to think. Like I said, I couldn't remember much. I remember the best thing about SmackDown was the lumberjack match, and I think it was like months ago. We were like, man, I wish we'd have more lumberjack matches. I mean, not like a ton of them, but lumberjack match here and there. And sure enough, there was a lumberjack match. There was some really fun theatrics with the New Day, with Woods wearing the lumberjack gear. Them coming out with pancakes, and this week they came out with pancakes again. I thought that was really funny.
Yeah.
I thought that was really good, really funny. I like that I like what they set up in that match with Rude versus Corbin eventually. I like what they did this week with them, with Corbin saying no to Rude. That's great stuff. I'm trying to think of anything else. We got the Bludgeon Brothers back that passed last week. I love their entrance. I love their music. I hate their finisher. Their finisher is where they just pick the guy up and then they slam him.
Oh
It's
yeah,
like it's
that's
pretty dumb. Like for me, it's dumb, but I'll look past it
hmm
because I do like Rowan and
yeah.
Harper.
They're both really good, and I'm glad they put them back together as a tag team.
Yes.
And this gimmick is kind of, as Jim Cornette would say, it's cartoon wrestling because they kind of look like a comic book, you know, thing, which I actually like. I actually
Yeah.
like it. Like I know Jim Cornette hates the quote unquote cartoon wrestling, as I just said, but sometimes it can be good, and this is an instance where I thought it was good, and yeah, I like it too. Like their gear is neat. Their entrance is really cool. Carrying the big hammers, I'm like that's kind of silly. But then when you see them come down, you're like, ooh,
Yeah.
that is kind of it works and stuff. And
It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
yeah, like they're kind of what the Ascension should be. Like
Yeah.
because they just haven't booked the Ascension well since they came up. So but yeah, they did I really enjoyed their debut last week, and then this week I liked them too. They're building them up. I'm like, ooh man, are they gonna build them up big for a big Uso feud, which could be sweet. Because yeah, Harper and Rowan, are really good wrestlers.
Yeah.
They're some of the most underrated guys in the company right
Especially
now.
Harper. Harper is actually really really amazing.
He is. I mean, and both these guys are like 6'4" plus. Like
Yeah.
they're both really tall. They're both really big. Like it's like almost 600 pounds. Both these guys. So but yeah, I kind of was like, yeah, it's a little silly, but I'll make my final judgment when I see it, kind of thing. And yeah, I thought that it was really effective. I quite enjoyed it as well.
I agree. I think the only other things that happened was I'm I'm leery at questioning why they did what they did with the new ladies from NXT.
Yeah,
I'm going to reserve that because all they've done is introduce these ladies. Of course, this week they gave each teams a name, so maybe they're going to stay together. I question. They should have changed a couple of their gimmicks. I think they should have changed if they're going to if they're going to keep these teams together. I actually don't have a horrible problem with the makeup of the SmackDown group. As we found out this week, the Riot Squad. I do have an issue with the Raw, the Absolution.
Absolution is a mystery.
Exactly.
Absolution is a mystery.
Especially since Mandy Rose is that character that Eva Marie.
Yeah, she even looks kind of like Eva Marie.
And she's been like that since NXT. So with that, I totally understand. But the looks don't mesh well, especially with the Raw version. When you have a goth essentially, beauty glamour person, and then an MMA fighter, like it makes no sense to have these ladies stay together for a certain amount of time. The second one, I can give a little leeway. Ruby's, I mean, she is punk lifestyle, but not like overly punk. It's just the way she looks.
Mm-hmm.
And I can understand Sarah Logan. She's kind of a. They should have been called the Misfits.
Yeah, that's a good. Yeah.
I understand Riot Squad, but like some form of the word misfit, because Sarah Logan is that hunter, that kind of outcast.
Misfits, but it's MISS because they're
exactly.
women. Misfit, yeah, dude.
Yeah,
we got something.
We should have been writing for these guys, because that's my biggest problem with the last couple of weeks is the writing has been poor. It has just been poor on both shows. I love SmackDown this week. I hated Raw. The only reason why I hated Raw is because they didn't show. A lot of the reasons why I hated Raw is because the only good match on the show, the only good set on the show. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
I only felt like there was one good thing on the show that I was able to see. But as far as last week, the whole Riot Squad and Absolution, the problem is that everybody's having is it was the similar thing.
Mm-hmm.
It was the same thing, not similar. Let's throw that word out. It is the same thing. They did the same thing on both shows. That's lazy writing.
Yeah. If they said at least, like if they kind of did a thing where it'd be a lot better if they were like, if they acknowledged the other side. If they're just like, like, oh yeah, we thought we're the the NXT crew, we're invading, the women's division, they got the Raw, we got something kind of like that, where it's like, a planned attack on Raw and SmackDown by this team of 6 that split up into 2 squads of 3. You know what I'm saying? Kind of that kind of thing, where it's just like, instead of just like, the exact same thing, it's like, okay, at least acknowledge that it's the exact same thing and say, Paige said that, us NXT gals should come up and to the main roster, and we, they got Raw, we thought we'd take SmackDown. Something kind of like that. So it's like you're at least halfway explaining your lazy writing.
Yeah, and I absolutely agree with you. And there were rumors that was what was going to happen, that Paige was going to come out that Paige is actually the leader of both teams. The problem with that is they have 2 separate names now.
Mm-hmm.
It makes no sense to even pull the trigger on that anymore. Now, if they had somebody outside of Paige as kind of the puppet master, that would be interesting.
Yes.
I do agree with...
If it was Eva Marie, that'd be pretty funny.
That would be funny. It's not going to be that.
It's not going to be, but... Because she's gone.
It'd be even more hilarious, I think, if it was James Ellsworth. Like, James is gone for a whole year, and they bring him back, and he's the puppet master of both groups.
And it's all just to get back at Becky Lynch for beating him up.
Because Becky's out now. I mean, they wrote The Miz off, and then they wrote Becky off because they're doing a movie.
Oh yeah, she's gonna be in Marine 6 or whatever.
Yeah, they're doing a movie. That's why they wrote her off. That's why they were playing that up. Oh, she got hurt so badly, she's still probably back in Houston and blah blah blah. Like I said, there were rumors that Paige was going to be a part of both groups, but the problem with that is they have 2 separate names now, and they can't. I feel like they can't do that now.
It'd be really hard.
And so, the major issue for me is now that they brought them in, when are they going to break them up? Because I'm assuming they want them to bring life into the women's divisions on both teams or both shows, which that's the reason why Vince brought these people up. And I'm the only person I'm worried about, or the only 2 people I'm worried about, are Mandy and Sonya. I think eventually, once they actually get in the ring and are able to do what they need to do, they'll be fine. I'm not really worried with Liv. I think she has grown leaps and bounds from when I first saw her in NXT. Both Sarah Logan, who used to be Crazy Mary Dobson, she was an indie woman, and so was Ruby. And so those girls can go in the ring. I'm sure they could be okay. But I'm really concerned with Sonya and Mandy. Apparently, Sonya actually was an MMA fighter. She has a small record. She was a part of Buzz TV's MMA, like their podcasts and stuff. And so she knows the world of MMA, which I just thought that was a gimmick. But apparently it's actually real. So anyway, I don't remember much on Raw. I just remember the invasion by the ladies, which they did the exact same thing this week.
Yeah. Even if Ruby Riott was just like, oh, we got our marching orders from Paige. Yeah. We're here to take control of SmackDown. Just some little throwaway line, so it's like, oh, okay. Now it doesn't seem so just like, hey, it's the same thing, but on SmackDown. Yeah.
They could have done something different. They really could have.
Yeah.
Instead of this, I mean, my guess is they probably initially had that idea that Paige was the mastermind, but then they didn't want to pull the trigger on that, so they're like, well, we already got this, so let's keep doing this. They'll run out. They'll beat everybody up the same way. The reality is everybody will forget about it.
Yeah.
And eventually, and we'll move on to their characters. And I absolutely 100% agree with the reason Vince brought them up is because I do believe it's stale. They need more competition. Again, I'm concerned with the Raw side of the deal. I think the SmackDown side, every one of those girls are ready to go. Liv's been ready for a bit. Ruby and Sarah are really good wrestlers. They're ready. So, but that also leaves NXT with not a whole lot of talent. I mean, they do have some coming up, which is great because of the Mae Young Classic, but they have more, I think. But anyway, what were your thoughts on Raw and SmackDown? What were the things that you liked and didn't like? 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Or a week ago.
Yeah. Last week, it was kind of just second verse same as the first kind of thing with the women thing. But I'm interested to see where it goes. But yeah, I feel like the SmackDown side is much more better off, just because on Raw they seem so completely mismatched. Like, you know, I completely get that. But the thing on Raw that I liked was the match between Roman and Miz was really good. I really enjoyed that. Roman as Intercontinental Champion is going to be interesting to see. I love that he's kind of doing an open challenge this week. That was this week though. But so yeah, I'm interested to see where this goes with him. I'm really kind of interested in. Yeah, he seemed like really stoked to to win that. So it was like probably just because he's a big Bret Hart fan and Bret Hart held that title so many times. So he's like, oh sweet. But I loved the whole thing, the Miz TV thing with the Shield and the Miz Taraj. That was great. How he's just like they're all talking, and I love how he's just like, whoa, Seth, like if you guys get the tag titles, I don't want to be the only Shield member without a title. And then they're just like, huh. And they're like kind of just looking around, and then Seth's like, oh, hey, the Miz has got a title, and then Roman's just like, I do like that title, like that whole thing was great, and that whole thing was great. I enjoyed that. Their match was really good. I think you want to make that title mean something while Miz is away, because when it's on Miz, everything's pure gold. I know some people feel differently, but Miz is Miz. So I think a guy who you want to be the guy, no pun intended, even though a little bit. Do that. If you're like, well, Miz has to go away to film this movie, all right, put the title on Roman. Make that title while Miz is away mean something, so it doesn't just put it on some mid-carder and then just have everybody forget about it. Put it on Roman. He'll, keep it prestigious. And if he does a Goldberg thing / John Cena open challenge thing where he has a match every single night, that's awesome. Gets more eyes on the title, gets more people. And dude, so yeah, I'm really excited about that. And to see where that goes. Not much else, like besides the women and then the whole Intercontinental thing. Last week on Raw, do I remember, really? I don't remember much else.
The whole Jason Jordan thing, I mean, it continued over into this week where he's like, oh, I'm 100%, and then he's not really, quote-unquote, 100%. I'm ready for them to pull the trigger on him being a full-face heel.
Which is a very funny way of saying that.
Yeah, that's full-face heel. Full-fledged heel. Sorry, full-fledged heel. But yeah, the what they're doing with him is kind of interesting. They're interweaving his storyline with Kane and versus Braun storyline, which I like. I'm just ready for them to get that.
Yeah. It's one of those things where it's like, I'm just like, I don't hate it. I'm interested in see where it goes, but you can't just let it drag on until people do hate it or are over with it. Like just pull the trigger, man.
And I think a lot. Maybe I shouldn't say this. I'm interested in seeing Jason versus Kurt.
Yeah.
Because they're both have a wrestling background now. Granted, Kurt is a lot better wrestler, but he's older now, and so see what happens. I'm interested in that. Maybe probably obviously not WrestleMania, but maybe by SummerSlam or even Survivor Series. I would like to see that, or even a Survivor Series. Jason has a team, Kurt has a team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so
for sure. But SmackDown though I can't really remember from last week. Just for whatever reason I can't. The women over there debuted. That's about the only thing I can remember from last week. Anyways, so last week, things happened. That's about all you can say. Not much in the way of like big news. Not much big. Other than the title change, not much big happened. So, guess we'll just jump right into this week.
Sure.
All right. Cool. So, Jeremy, let you start, my man. Monday Night Raw. This week, what did you think? What did you like? What did you not like?
The only thing I liked was the Elias versus Roman Reigns match and the build-up. I loved what Elias did in the ring with his song and bringing the Miz Taraj along. I like that combo. Actually, I like that continuation with the Miz Taraj with Elias. I think that's brilliant. I think that was really, really well done. I liked the match. The match was really good. the power bomb that he did when he had him on his shoulders, and then turned him around, then seated power bomb. Great. I did, before I got rid of my Twitter for a bit, I did see Bubba Ray post that's how you should build two characters. Roman obviously was going to go over on that match, but they really did build Elias pretty well. I'm liking him more and more. And I think what they're doing with Elias is what they did with Braun, is they see this, what they want to be their heavyweights, and I think both Braun could be a great babyface, and Elias could be, a great snarky heel to his babyface. And so for me, I really like what they did. I like the Elias character now. I didn't like him in NXT, but I like what he did in the ring. I loved that he was happy with the Miz straw. He's like, man, that was really good. You guys did it really good. I love that. And again, the match was really pretty well done. The other stuff that I didn't like anything else. I hated what they did with the women this week on Raw. They did the same thing. They should have had the match. They should have just kept the match and had the match like they did on SmackDown, because I think that was better for SmackDown, to show those girls in the ring. They should have shown the girls in the ring this time. Instead, they beat up Sasha Banks. Okay, and then the only thing I liked about it was, I'm interested in seeing where they go with Asuka. They didn't fight Asuka. Either they're afraid of Asuka or something. I'm interested in seeing where that goes. And so I didn't necessarily hate that. I wish they would have just done that instead of beat up Sasha. The other stuff, like I said, I didn't see the Woken Matt Hardy segment, even though he's called himself Woken on Twitter. So that's where I'm taking it. Everybody else saying, oh, the broken character is here. Right now, he's calling himself Woken. I won't call him broken until he calls himself broken. His little change, the delete stuff, that was pretty good. I didn't get to see that on Hulu, so I did get to see it on YouTube. So I do like that. Again, I hated the women's stuff except for the Asuka. I really have no idea what the ending was all about. Jason Jordan has a match with Kane. He gets hurt. He leaves. He gets counted out. Finn Balor comes down, and all of a sudden there's a Finn Balor versus Kane match. What? That makes no sense. And then Braun comes out, and it just, like, I don't know if they just didn't fill the time like they were supposed to, because they just kept on, was it Braun or it was Kane, kept on Kane on the outside, and like the announcers kept talking. I'm like, this makes no sense. This is stupid. Do I like Braun versus Kane? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. I don't understand the Finn coming out thing, because all of a sudden, crazy out of nowhere match that made no sense. The Jason Jordan thing, again, it's fun. I can't wait to see that be fleshed out totally, but it makes no sense to have two matches in a row like that. What? I just feel like Raw was super sloppy. They just didn't know what they were doing. And maybe I'm hoping that will change next week. I'm hoping things will be, since things are kind of fleshing itself out, trying to figure out what they're going. But I mean, when they do the same stuff with the ladies that they did last week, come on, we get it. They're here. You've already showed us that this week. Hey Paige, you're back, but you said that last week. You were back last week. I mean, it just, none of that made sense to me. I can't remember the opening. I think the opening was, what was the opening of Raw?
It was Roman. Okay. Roman and Elias.
The Roman Elias stuff, and even with the Miz Rogers, like that stuff I really liked. The main.
That Roman Elias match should have been the main event. That should have ended the show.
Was it, when you watched it?
Mm-hmm.
You watched the 3 hours?
Yeah, I watched. Yeah.
Was that the end of the second hour?
Yeah, that was hour 2.
Okay, that's the thing. Is they're putting their main event on the end of the second hour. The third hour is just whatever. I would have loved to see the Cruiserweight match, but I didn't get to see it. There were some other things that I was just like, I wish I would have saw that, but I didn't get to see it. I got to see a jumbled up mess that I didn't really care for as much. But the Roman stuff, the Roman Elias stuff, great. Everything else, sloppy writing. Anyway, that's my opinion. I hope your opinion is better than mine. I'm sure it was because you did text me like, man, stuff is happening.
Yeah.
So I didn't hate watching it. I just didn't like the episode. What were your thoughts on Raw?
Yeah, I liked it a little more than you, but not too much more. I did like it significantly more than you, but not like to the point where I'm like, dude, whoa. But I texted you. I was super stoked. I was like, dude, things are happening. I was excited about the beginning with Roman, like, because Roman got cheered. People chanted, "You deserve it," and you could tell he got a kick out of that because he's like, a lot of crazy stuff's been happening lately. So from the bottom of my heart, thanks. That means a lot to me. I was like, and yeah, like. That hasn't happened for a long time. Roman got cheered and he got "You deserve it" chants. Like, yeah, that's crazy, man. Like, that's awesome. I hope they can keep that up. I hope people will start to appreciate it. We've been singing this song for a year and a half that we've been doing. Holy cow.
Yeah.
For the year and a half we've been doing this podcast, like, people need to appreciate him more instead of just constantly boo, boo, no, you're shoving him in our face, which is like, well, I get that, I forgot who it was, but, somebody was like, oh man, they're just super high on Roman Reigns. And then one of the other guys on the podcast was like, and they should be.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a great look off the, out of the ring. He's a really nice guy. He's really, really popular with kids. He's really, really popular with the ladies, which, it's understandable.
Yeah.
Good looking dude. But and he doesn't have a bad match, and if he does, 9 times out of 10, it's not his fault. And so it's just one of those things where it's like, oh, these people get it, wherever they were. I think at the University of Tennessee, they were at the basketball stadium there, or the basketball arena, sorry. But yeah, so that was a nice, refreshing change of pace. So that kind of.
I think the best you can expect for a Roman is the same that Cena got.
Mm-hmm.
Is both people hate him and like him, and that's what he got. Like, he got Roman. Let's go Roman. Roman sucks. Like, he got the John Cena pop, and that's, like you said, that's the best that's happened so far. And he did get some "You deserve it" stuff too.
He did, like, and I was just like, whoa, that's pretty crazy. Like, that's wow. And so yeah, that was a nice, refreshing change of pace. That it's becoming, it was straight up negative all the time, and then over the course since WrestleMania, it's been getting a bit more positive. And now it's, like you said, it is John Cena territory. You can hear both, but it's super loud. It's just like, people who hate him are gonna boo him. The people who love him are gonna cheer him, and it's just constant, And so,
and I think from now on, we're not going to see the same, except for AJ Styles. You're not going to see the same things that Hogan got, that The Rock got, even Austin. Like, outside of when he brought into it, that's probably the most negative thing. You're not going to see that pop for the main guy, like you saw with those guys. People everywhere he goes, no matter if they're a good guy or a bad guy, people love them. People will cheer them. We're going to get the John Cena. We're in that era where, except for AJ Styles, probably except for Shinsuke, and probably even except for Bobby Roode. Like, there are those, but they're not the face of the company per se. Roman Reigns is the face of the company, and because you're the face of the company where you're now, because it's forced down our throats. And again, we've already said we love Roman Reigns. We think he's a good wrestler in the ring, but because of the average fan, the best possible thing that you can get is the dual thing. And if you get that,
I know,
you're fine.
Exactly. Yeah, and yeah, I think things have been getting better, and things will get better in terms of this, because I think people are kind of just being like, you know what, hopefully if people are just like, you know what, I'm being a tool, like, I'm being a smart. Roman's pretty good. I should quit being a. So hopefully, but who knows.
But they're the WWE audience. They're just going to be jerks no matter what.
Yeah. So yeah, that was cool. But yeah, I enjoyed everything with him and Miztourage and Elias. Their match was really, really good. I really enjoyed it. If they ended the show like that, it probably wouldn't have been quite as a jumbled mess, because it would have at least left you at the very last moment with something good. you would have just been like, oh man, wow, this was kind of a, it's like when you see a movie, you're just like, ugh, and then like at the end, there's like this super awesome action scene. You're just like, oh cow, that was pretty sweet. Like, and I can't think of a good analogy of a movie that's like that at this moment, but y'all get what I'm saying. And but I really liked the match between Seth and Cesaro.
I forgot about that.
That one was really good. Like, I was just like, oof, man, Roman and Elias better try to top that one. And if they didn't top it, they came really close to. Like, both those matches were good. And yeah, the stuff with the ladies was just like, okay, we get it. Did the same thing from last week.
What did you think of Seth? Sorry, go back to Seth Cesaro. What did you think about Seth's stuff in the ring afterwards?
I want to know what he was smoking before he went out. Like,
he was like,
he seemed like hyper and like in a good mood. Like, he just seemed like really like, oh man, ooh yeah, he seemed like he was just loose and having fun. Like,
I think he thought what was in his brain was going to make sense and be funny, which the Renee stuff was funny, but then he was like, Renee and the credit card. I don't, what? Have you had bad experience?
Because women be shopping.
Well, there's that. That could be.
That's the only thing I could think of.
And it could have been like an inside joke between those two as well.
Yeah.
It is funny because throughout the whole episode, they alluded to Dean being on his honeymoon. They didn't say who with.
Yeah.
Until Seth said it. And so I don't know if he was supposed to. And so I'm waiting for some backlash with that. But you're right. Like,
yeah.
What, Seth? Like, have you been hitting the head too hard during this match?
It was.
What you were saying made no sense.
Yeah, no, it was really goofy.
But it was funny.
It was like, it was funny that King Ross name redacted, that at Ross on Wrestling, I'll call him, just calling him Ross, it's like no, it needs to be. So I just call him Ross on Wrestling since we can't call him name redacted. Yep. So a good old Ross Tweddle over on the Cultaholic, like, he said, they said Dean Ambrose was gone on his honeymoon, and they said that Sheamus was gone on his annual sabbatical to Ireland. So I'm guessing that Dean Ambrose and Sheamus are secretly married. And that absolutely killed me, because I had that same thought when I was watching it. I was just like, that'd be funny if they did like I wasn't on my honeymoon. Me and Sheamus were on a bromance vacation.
That would be funny. And I wouldn't put it past Dean if they do win next week, which I'm interested in that. So the only thing that they did make me interested in next week was that is if Dean came out and was like, no, Sheamus and I were together.
Yeah. Oh man, Dean needs to wear a Hawaiian shirt, because they said he was in Hawaii. He needs to wear a Hawaiian shirt next week. Come on, that would just be too perfect. Like, oh man, that would be funny.
Agreed.
They're just like, dude, we're having a match. What? Oh yeah, and he just like takes the Hawaiian shirt off and he's in his gear underneath. That'd be fun. So yeah.
So Dean, if you're listening, you're probably not. Do what Caleb said, because that would be awesome.
That would be absolutely.
I think you get a huge pop for that.
That would be awesome. Has like a Mai Tai or like a volcano or hurricane, whatever it's called.
And the funny thing is that they've been married for quite a while now. Not a crazy amount of time.
Yeah, I think
but months.
Almost a year.
Maybe a year, and now they're going on there.
I know, that's funny, but.
And that actually is true. Like, people have come out and said, no, they're on. Both of those things that they said are not false. They're not made up stories. That's actually what happened.
But other than that, Raw was just a complete mess. I love Finn Balor, and I don't get why they did what they did. If they were going to, if they're going to do a feud versus him and Kane, I would love to see that. The demon, the Devil's favorite demon versus the Demon King. Sweet, let's do it. But I got excited because I thought they were going to do that last week, because he answered the challenge or whatever from Kane, and so I'm just like, oh, okay, I got really excited for that, because Kane can still go. I mean, he really can, and I think he's totally up for helping out the new, raise up the new guys. Like, I think it would be cool if at Royal Rumble or Elimination Chambers for Raw this year, do a triple threat between Raw, Strowman, and Kane to see who faces Brock Lesnar for the Universal title or something like that. Because, like, let's say that Shinsuke, like my prediction, Shinsuke wins the Royal Rumble, goes on to face AJ Styles. We're like, all right, well, we need somebody to challenge the Raw guy. So we're going to have, a tournament, because we love tournaments. And
It would have been a perfect year for King of the Ring, guys.
oh yeah, it would have. It would have. Ugh.
Anyway.
So yeah, totally. And then, but they do like 3 brackets, and so they just do boom and then those are the 3 guys left: Roman, Braun, and Kane. And then at Elimination Chamber they have a triple threat, and whoever wins goes to. Dude, people would watch that. I would watch that. And so, anyways,
Yep.
Kane can still go, and he can help out the younger guys, and he seems like he doesn't have a problem doing that. So it's just like, okay, well, take advantage of that. Help him elevate Braun Strowman, which you are doing. It looked like you're gonna have him do that with Finn, and then it's just okay. Just we're gonna act like we didn't see that last week, where it seemed like you were gonna do that. So yeah, was a mess. It seemed like this episode seemed like it had ADHD.
It did.
It seemed like it couldn't finish a thought, and it was just like, all right, so Finn's gonna come out, and then he's gonna face Kane. It'll be cool. No, but Braun needs to come out. Yeah, Braun needs to come out, and then it's gonna be like rah, 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 and then he's gonna hit him with the chair, and then it's gonna be like blah, blah. It's like Michael Bay in that episode of South Park where he's like, and then the truck crashes, and it's all like blah, 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 blah. It was just like this episode had ADHD.
It did.
It totally did.
No coherency. Outside of the main story that they were trying to tell between Elias and Roman, which I thought that was pretty well executed. Everything else was just what?
It was. It really, really was.
The other 2 things that I thought were great wasn't planned. Well, except for one of them. They were in Kane's backyard, basically. Glenn Jacobs. That's where.
Oh, he's from Tennessee.
That's where he's running. Around that area is where he's running for mayor.
Oh, okay.
So, everybody, there was some chants. Let's go, mayor. Which
I didn't notice.
They were very, very slight, and I think they may have probably been toned down a bit.
Okay.
But they were on there. Let's go, mayor. And on Twitter, my favorite thing about the whole of Monday Night Raw, Glenn Jacobs said, after Raw, we're meeting here to, if you guys want to come out and join me, we're gonna meet here to hang out. So that's pretty awesome.
That's awesome.
He's campaigning, so I get that, and I hope he does win. I'll be honest, I hope he does win. He's apparently a pretty smart dude, and I think he would be good in that role. But those are my 2 favorite things about
That's probably
Kane.
what the whole corporate Kane shtick was about. That was him. That was his audition as mayor.
Yeah.
See, I can wear a suit really nice.
Yeah. See, I don't look like a monster all the time.
I know, yeah.
So yeah, anything else about Raw?
Nope. Time to do the letter grade. So yeah, just the stuff with Roman and the Mistrage was great. The match between Seth and Cesaro was good. Everything else was just.
Yep.
So what would you give it?
Because of the Roman Reigns Elias stuff, that for me was an A. I really enjoyed that. I was going to initially give it a D. I'm going to give it a C minus. It was a rough Raw. Not rough to sit through, just incoherent and all over the place. What about you?
Yeah. I think just because of the Roman Reigns and some of the matches, that all that stuff was quite the saving grace. I'm gonna just give it a regular C because I didn't hate it as much as you, but it just really wasn't as good as it could have been. It wasn't as thorough and planned out as it seems like it could have been. Like I said, it did have ADHD, but the good stuff was good enough to keep me from making this just a complete bungle. And it does set up some good stuff for next week. Like we get a tag team title match next week, and Roman will probably have another challenger for the title next week. So, hopefully each week he can step up his game and stuff like that. So, I'm hoping Batista comes back and answers it. That'll be sweet.
Would be. I would assume it's going to be Samoa Joe, since Samoa Joe.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, a proper feud with Roman and Samoa Joe. Let's bring it on. Although it's just like, okay, Roman just got a big pop and it's in over with this crowd, and now you're going to put him with a guy who's more over than he is as the bad guy. I'm excited because I love Samoa Joe, and I think their styles will really mesh well together, and just get these 2 mean mugging looking Samoan cool guys going at it. I'm stoked for that. Like when Samoa Joe came up, I was like, oh, give me Roman and Samoa Joe now. Like, and they are, but at the same time, it's like from a booking standpoint, you want this guy to get over. One guy's more over than the other. anyways,
Agreed.
so yeah, it gets C, but a very low C.
Yep. C minus for me.
All right. Well, that was last week, correct? Or was that?
That was this week.
Oh, that was this week. Okay.
Yeah. See, that's the main problem.
Everything meshed. So
They were
well.
the same shows. I mean,
Kinda
outside
were.
of a couple different things, they were the same shows.
Oh wow.
And so,
Yeah. Wow. Everything just meshed well together. Everything just meshed so much together.
yeah.
Dang. Anyway. Okay. So yeah, we still have to talk about SmackDown.
So now let's talk about SmackDown, like you just said. Caleb, what did you think about SmackDown this week?
I did enjoy SmackDown. Yeah, like I did enjoy both shows. Just Raw was, like we said, just ADHD jumbled mess, but it had some good stuff. It's like, okay, Raw was Batman versus Superman.
Mm,
It was a jumbled mess, but there was some really, really good stuff in it that you're like, okay, there's enough good stuff in it that I enjoyed it. But it was a jumbled mess that needed to be more focused. And then this is full on Justice League. This was like, okay, it's more thought out. It's better. Like, I don't hate it. Like, I really like it. There's a lot of good stuff in it. It's more thought out. It's better prepared. So yeah, that's a pretty good analogy, I feel. Yeah, the SmackDown I really did enjoy. I'll let you talk about some other stuff, because I just want to talk about the main event.
okay.
Is the biggest thing I want to talk about, and then you can talk about other stuff. Just mainly because that's the freshest thing in my mind since it was the last thing and stuff, and I just was like, oh man, this is okay. First off, Randy Orton just looks even younger.
Got his haircut and
Yeah,
it's a little longer.
his hair's he's looking more like the Legend Killer.
Yep.
He's got the longer, spikier hair. He hardly has a beard, so he looks like it's just like, man, from any given week to week, he can look either 45 or 23. Like,
Yep.
It's funny. So yeah, he comes out and I was just like, what the? Is he going back to the Legend Killer now? Like he looks like back, like he's 25 again. Um, but yeah, him and Kevin Owens, that match was really good. I really, really enjoyed it. No DQ. So they could go out and he's like, oh yeah, Sami Zayn, you're barred from ringside, but it's a no DQ match. Like, okay, you're just setting yourself up for failure here.
Yeah.
And then I just thought that it was so clever that they were on the stage and Sami attacked him. It's like, oh, they're not at ringside, so
Yeah.
that was really clever. And the match was so good. Just that superplex is always fantastic. He almost didn't get it up all the way. Like he almost didn't get up on the top rope fast enough because he was already pulling Kevin back when he jumped up and then pushed off the top rope. So
I think the momentum was weird
yeah,
at the time, but he corrected it really well because I thought the same thing. I was like, wow, like he's stumbling. Oh, he needed to correct that really quick.
he did.
That would have been bad.
He did, man. He did it really quick like a viper.
Yep.
And I'm sorry, that was a terrible joke. But yeah, man, it was just really good. And I'm just like, man, this is great, like fantastic. And just Randy Orton's just everybody says it, and it's just it needs to always be repeated. But the dude's one of the best sellers like ever. He's so good. Like he can make something that doesn't hurt at all, make it seem like it's like excruciatingly painful. And like the way he jolts his head up, like when he took the frog splash, and like just the way he's able to just like cock his body back, like the sudden jolt of pain, like when Sami hit him with the chair, like really good stuff. And Kevin Owens, man, that dude's just like I just thought of something else. He just was so game for everything. He did everything so well in it, and just every time he got hit with the kendo stick and he got bleeped out, that killed me. Like yeah, it's a juvenile and it's whatever. It's not that funny, but for some reason, bleeping out swearing makes it 10 times funnier to me. I don't know why. Like when somebody swears and they bleep it, for some reason that makes it 10 times funnier. Like so when you just hear him go, oh, and then you just hear it cut out. Like for some reason that's funny. That's like way funnier to me. And like I just like how they kept hitting each other with the kendo sticks, and it was just really good. I really enjoyed it. It's one I might go back and watch sometime. It was just really, really good. And that was the thing that made the biggest impact on me from SmackDown this week, and that was my favorite thing, definitely. And so yeah, a great climax, great ending. So yeah, what did you think of SmackDown?
I thought every match was well worth watching SmackDown for. The tag team match, the New Day versus American Alpha 2, Shelton Benjamin.
Shelton Benjamin.
Like even the Usos on commentary were really funny.
They're fantastic on commentary.
They really are, and it's fine. It's funny how they switch to kind of faces now, sort of the more face than heel, where they're like absolutely going to cheer for the New Day and stuff like that. I really like that whole respect thing. Again, we go back to that moment where the New Day and the Usos share the ring, and the fact that they're cool with each other now. I love that payoff because their matches have been some of the best tag team matches all year. So I like that payout. I like seeing the Usos cheering for the New Day. I like the New Day coming out with the pancakes still. I mean, they know how to put over like breakfast cereal and pancakes and ice cream and stuff. And so the New Day they don't have to really reinvent themselves. They just have to come up with a different prop every week. And they do amazing.
And it works.
It does. It works for me. Like I said, when I first started watching wrestling again, the New Day annoyed the snot out of me. But now, they're
it's
great
because they
in the
were
ring.
bad guys,
They were,
and so they were worse.
They were bad guys transitioning into face. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Again, like I said, they put over pancakes, they put over cereal. I liked the match there. I liked Mojo as a heel is interesting. I'm with that whole thing with Mojo turning heel on Ryder. I thought Ryder was going to turn heel.
Yeah, so did I.
Because they've been teasing this for months now, which they finally got around to doing. Which I understand. Things come up and you have to switch things around, so I get it. But I was really interested. I'm really interested in how Mojo transitions into a heel thing. A heel. I really liked what he did. I liked that he beat him up and went back and was just kind of like, Ryder was right. Things need to change. And I like that. I hope it changes his character a bit to the better. So I like that. I like the Bludgeon Brothers again. I forgot to say that their outfits remind me of the old school Hardy Boys, with the arm bands and stuff, which I don't hate. I like them. I'm glad they're a tag team. I'm glad they're together. So no issues there. The AJ Styles gender stuff. I didn't hate. I'm definitely interested in seeing where it goes. I'm assuming that they're transitioning away from gender now because gender beat up the Singh brothers. So I'm assuming they're transitioning away from gender being a main heel, getting rid of the boys who have helped him win many matches. Either that or they're going to take it as this is a discipline thing. They're fine now. We're okay type thing, which is be fine too. But Jinder and AJ continuing that for Clash of Champions, which is fine. I hope that'll be it for now, for a while with Jinder. And then their placement of the Fashion Files I thought was great because it broke up the show. The last match was a serious match. Like it's essentially Kevin Owens getting punished for stuff he's done by Randy Orton.
And I thought it was funny that Corey Graves said Randy Orton's a great Punisher. And I was just like, topical reference.
Yeah.
And yeah, Randy Orton probably would be a good Punisher.
He would have been. Another thing I want to see Randy do is go like if there was a Southern promotion, I think he would fit well in there.
Oh, totally.
Which reminds me of StarrCade, which we can talk about a little bit if you know anything about it.
Yeah.
We can talk about it afterwards. What are our thoughts about all that stuff? The last match was great. So, but anyway, the Fashion Files breaking up the seriousness of the show, I thought was great because you had a laugh, then you got ready for it. It was a nice palate cleanser, if you will. And I was okay with the match, the women's match. I was okay with it. Again, I want to see things fleshed out more. Now that Ruby Riott has an extra T in her last name, and now they're called
Ruby Riott.
Yeah, and now, excuse me. Now that they're solidified as a team, I'm interested in seeing where this goes. Both sides. You know, they're a 3-woman team. It's going to be interesting to see what happens next on both sides. So I'm trying to think of. I think that was pretty much everything that I wanted to talk about SmackDown. I liked SmackDown. I liked the pacing of it. I loved the ending. The ending actually was satisfying, even though it was kind of weird having Kevin Owens go over on Randy. But it makes sense because they're trying to prop him back up in a way, and having Sammy come down with the chair makes sense. Anything Corey does, I think, is cool. You know, like you said, but he's not by the ring. He's right there. Like that. That's fun.
Yeah, that was.
And anytime he and Booker T together are hilarious. I don't know if half that's just Booker T in his old age, just not knowing what to say some of the times. But Corey makes it fun better because he just is like, "What are you talking about, Booker?"
Yeah, Booker, I don't know what you're talking about. Like,
I just said that, Booker.
Yeah.
Like Corey Graves is amazing for me. I really appreciate him on commentary. I like Booker T. I think the combination of Booker T and Corey makes the other guy,
Michael Cole, a good straight man.
Tolerable and a better straight man than he had been. And I actually like Tom Phillips as a commentator. I don't necessarily like him as a person because of things that have come out. But him as a commentator, I really, really enjoy. I like Tom and Corey's interaction. And I love Byron Saxton. I know people
I know.
rag
It's
on him.
fun to make fun of him, but I like him too.
And that's his character. And I love that he has a thick skin that he can be made fun of. And this is his job. He gets paid to be a doofus. He gets paid to be the guy people make fun of. And he does a great job. The whole pancake bit this week with him.
Yeah.
Like, here, I want some. I'll give me some of the syrup. And he gives the syrup, and at the end they're like, Byron, you better not eat that. If you eat that, I'll leave, or whatever they said. Yeah. And Byron, like, I love that. But I think Byron is, for me, is great. So the commentary teams have balanced out more, better.
Yeah.
I'm glad Byron is on SmackDown now. Not that was a demotion for him. They mesh mesh better together. And I love Booker T staying around for a lot longer. So for both shows, the commentary I thought were pretty good for both weeks. But SmackDown for me was a much better show than Raw.
Indeed. Ever since the brand split last summer, that has basically been the gist of our podcasts. Yeah, Raw is longer. It may have quote unquote spectacle and quote unquote the bigger stars, but SmackDown is just better.
and I understand, like, Vince is in control of both brands. I don't know that he's necessarily obviously with the women coming up from NXT, that was his call.
Okay.
And so I'm sure he's very active in those kind of things. But a lot of the things are people going to him and saying, hey, do you approve of this? Do you approve of this? Do you approve of this? And yes, he probably shouldn't let a lot of these things through. But whatever he's letting through, like, the people on SmackDown who are writing the show seem a lot better than the people on Raw. And I know some of those people were NXT call-up writers, but they just seem like they're doing a better job. Road Dogg is doing a great job in his position over there, and all that. So anyway, SmackDown wins for me. For me, it was definitely a B plus for me. I didn't hate anything on the show. There wasn't anything that dragged for me. So B plus for me.
Yeah.
How about you?
I think I'd give it a B plus as well, definitely. Because yeah, you're right. All the matches were worth watching. There was some good storyline stuff. There was great character stuff. The commentary was fantastic. SmackDown's commentary team is much better. They're a much more cohesive unit. I do think that Byron, like you said, Byron and Corey just play well off of each other. I mean, Booker and Byron and Corey do too. There's just, I don't know, for some reason him and Byron is just a bit more of an odd couple, just because Booker and Corey personality wise are kind of the same. They both have guys they hate and both guys they like, and they'll kind of, but Booker is just kind of just like, oh man, this guy, I don't like this guy, or whatever, and then they're kind of the same. They're just flip flopped on who they like and dislike, but Byron is just like all positive all the time.
Yes.
And so it's just more of an odd couple type thing. So the SmackDown is just much more of a cohesive unit. And so, yeah, the commentary was fantastic. The Usos at ringside was great. All the matches were great. And then especially the main event, which was the only thing I talked about, partly because I couldn't remember some other stuff, so I was just like, I'll let him talk about it because I can't remember much.
In the Renee Young stand-ins, the two on SmackDown I thought did a great job, especially the one that was trying to interview Randy, and Randy just walked out.
Yeah, that was
great. That was a great moment. She did a really good job too, and the other one did.
I know. I keep saying that Randy Orton's like Clint Eastwood, and that was a Clint Eastwood moment. He just Randy, and he just walked out there, just like, yeah, I'm gonna mess this guy up, like, kind of attitude. Like, yeah, that was really cool. And then I loved the opening video, the opening promo, yeah, where like he's like, you're gonna fight Randy Orton, and then as they were talking, it would randomly just cut in, and it would play like a little bit of Randy Orton's theme song, and it would show him like doing all these awesome moves and stuff. That was really cool and really well done. That like really got me pumped up and stuff, and I like that Randy Orton's almost becoming an Arn Anderson type. He's almost becoming an enforcer for pervading the like I said a couple weeks ago, he's like the sheriff of SmackDown. They're the mayor. D. Brian Shano, they're the mayor of the town, and then Randy Orton's their sheriff. So, and so all that stuff, it was good. It just was a breath of fresh air from Raw, which, like we said, was a mess, and this was just much better and much more enjoyable. And yeah, all around, nothing really bad.
What grade did you give it?
I'd give it a B+ as well. So yeah, well, that was the weekly recaps, and gonna just kind of shoot from the hip a little and talk a little bit about the StarrCade event that happened over the weekend, right? Was that Saturday night? I think.
I think so. It's been a while. I think so. It was this weekend.
Yeah.
Or this past week, whatever.
Yeah, I can't remember if it was Saturday or Sunday. I think it might have been Saturday, but.
And obviously neither of us went, but we were able to see things on the internet, some glorious, great, wonderful things that went through. If you guys don't know, StarrCade was an old southern pay-per-view that Dusty Rhodes came up with.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it was kind of comparable to WrestleMania. It was sort of WCW's
or NWA or whatever.
It was. Well, it was. I'm pretty sure it was like NWA, and then it was Jim Crockett Promotions, and then Jim Crockett Promotions became WCW, and then WCW had it throughout its entire run as WCW. So yeah, like I think it was NWA when it started. Yeah, but anyways, yeah, it was the brainchild of Dusty Rhodes, as you said. Sorry.
And so the individual who came up with this idea, essentially, I'll tell you who it was now. If you didn't know who it was, if you don't know who it was, internet, you probably do by now. The idea was the whole thing was the person looked at the calendar and was like, hey, we're going to be near Thanksgiving. We're going to be in the South, in this particular part of the country. StarrCade was huge then. Why wouldn't we do a StarrCade? And he pitched it. So Michael P.S. Hayes.
It was P.S. Hayes?
P.S. Hayes came up with the idea, hey, why don't we do a one-off show, call it StarrCade, make it a bigger show than usual, kind of as an homage to Southern wrestling. He wrote the show and everything, and so everything I saw, all the videos and stuff, it looked amazing. Like, it would be one of those things that if they had it, it sounds like it's something that they're going to pursue and do StarrCade every year as a live show. Michael P.S. Hayes hit on something here that I hope they will do. Do these live shows, but make them special. StarrCade was special. Every year, big matches, cage matches, all these different kind of Southern style matches that will sell out the South every year. That will. Sadly, it was WrestleCade. Another show was happening there. I don't know what the numbers were for that, but anyway, Michael P.S. Hayes looked at the calendar and said, hey, we're going to be in the South. We're going to be in this area at this time. Why don't we just put on StarrCade, make it a buffed up house show? And it worked. Like, all the numbers in from it were huge. That's what they need to do as a business strategy. They need to have these buffed up, like StarrCade. Heck, even Halloween Havoc. instead of having it as a pay-per-view, have it in the middle of the country, St. Louis, Chicago, something like that. Um,
Yeah, Las Vegas is where they usually
or
had it,
even Vegas,
so that'd be a
wherever they
good
have it,
place.
majority of the time. Do that. Bring up back these old pay-per-views. They will draw for the live events way more. And Vince, once he heard it, he realized, yeah, we're gonna make some money off this.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a pay-per-view.
No,
You could just do it as like just do it as like a like you said, a buffed up house show, or do it like a special on the network. It's not a pay-per-view, but we're televising it on the network.
or even like don't tape the show,
Mm-hmm.
but don't show it until like a week later.
Yeah.
Because you want people to come to the show.
Yeah.
And I know they taped some aspects of it, like the Spine Buster. That was a brilliant. I don't know if you saw it.
Yeah, I did. It was
Go
fantastic.
watch it. Arn Anderson can still Spine Buster, and it's again he's got one of the best Spine Busters. The Revival do too. They kind of learned it from him and stuff. But people on the internet, because they had the rematch, Jinder versus AJ, in a steel cage match, and so because they brought out the cameras, people on the internet were like, "Oh, AJ's going to lose the title," and so like, the internet presence about StarrCade was huge too. And so not only did they have a huge in-person thing, they had a huge Twitter following, which they're huge in their social media right now, and so they want StarrCade to be trending. They want these small little mini pay-per-views, even though they're not pay-per-views, to be trending. WWE, you hit on something. Michael PSAs, you hit on something. These kind of southern, like StarrCade and, well, even the first Halloween Havoc was in the South too, because it was NWA. Like you could do so many different southern style wrestling and have PSAs and have Arn Anderson come up with the ideas. Like people still love the kayfabe southern style wrestling. Do that, man. That I would travel. I would go spend the night at your brother's house in Atlanta if they did it. If they did it, something in Atlanta.
Yeah, man, for sure.
Did you hear that, Andrew? I'm coming over. But just they hit on something. And so as far as StarrCade, at first we were like, man, that should have been a pay-per-view. But the more and more I think about it, the more and more it makes sense business-wise to just say we're going to have these one-off shows every year, kind of as an homage to what wrestling used to be, and not only that, but to also showcase the styles of like they did with Dolph Ziggler, and make it. I mean, Randy Orton should be a part of that too, because he's old school, like older than old school.
Well, yeah,
wrestling.
I mean, his dad, Cowboy Bob, was big star during that time.
So at first my heart was like, oh, sad, because I loved StarrCade when I was growing up, and well, yeah, that was my first thoughts. I really enjoyed the internet presence. I'm glad that we got to see certain aspects of that. What were your thoughts about StarrCade that you came up with?
You and I both were, bummed that it wasn't going to be televised in any way, and that does stink that because we don't get to see it, but at the same time, it does make it a much more special occasion because all those people there, can just be like, man, we got something special here, like being in, at WrestleMania stuff, like that is special, but it's like, watching it at home too, you can see some cool stuff and, have a good experience. But yeah, being there, just like, watching a, like I don't know, if you watch like, MotoGP, like motorcycle racing, if you watch, a great basketball game or a great boxing match or, a great, football game, college or NFL, it's like, yeah, it's really cool. It's special to be there in that atmosphere, but you can also get that kind of same excitement, from watching it at home even a little bit. But just being there and being able to just have that memory of like, wow, only us got this, only that whatever 16,000 people at the Greensboro Coliseum in Greensboro, North Carolina, got to see this new StarrCade, and that's really cool and really special, and that's pretty awesome. And we did get little clips and stuff, and we did see pictures like Ricky the Dragon Steamboat came out, paid respects to Shinsuke, and you see Shinsuke just grabbing his hand and like kind of bowing, like that's really cool to see. And Ric Flair was there to support Charlotte, I mean, because the Greensboro Coliseum is one that Steamboat and Flair both wrestled at all the time. you know, because back in, you know, Jim Crockett, and then when it became WCW, you know, it was based in the South and it was down there, you know. And you know, he's like, oh yeah, you know, me and Ricky used to wrestle here all the time. You know, I mean, if you go back and watch some of those '80s matches with Steamboat and Flair, you just don't see those. That you don't see matches like that often. You're just like, holy cow, that, you know, 30 plus years later are still great. And you know, so to kind of, you know, the ghosts of wrestling past, so to speak, are still in that arena, and you could kind of get that. And to have Arn Anderson there as the special enforcer for the, and to see him do a hellacious spine buster at 60 some odd years old. That's right. I'm not calling you out this time, Arn. I'm giving you a thumbs up, Arn. Daniel Tosh in joke, but yeah, it was so cool to see that. It's like, dude, that's great spine buster still. The dude's like in his 60s and he's still doing a great spine buster. That's awesome. And yeah, it was just really cool. Like it. And to see that, you know, the main event wasn't just like, oh, it's a wrestling match. Like, no, it was a cage, you know, steel cage match as the main event.
Mm-hmm.
And there's all these things, like there was the Usos went up against the Bludgeon Brothers, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens,
I hadn't seen any of that part.
and I think New Day. It was like an 8-man or whatever. You know, it was a big tag team match, and I'm just like, oh, dude, like. To see that would have been sweet, and to see, you know, AJ and Jinder in a steel cage match, and to see, you know, Bobby Roode and Dolph Ziggler with Arn Anderson there, yeah, it was really, really cool to even just seeing the pictures, and Randy Orton would have, you know, would have been awesome. You know, it would have been awesome if he was there.
Because it was essentially a SmackDown.
Yeah, it was just all SmackDown live people, yeah. So, I mean, you're absolutely right. You know, he is like an old school, like, you know, he is like an old school Southern wrestling guy, which, you know, I think if you threw him back in 80s WCW, like he would have, you know, take him as he is now, you know, the older, more grizzled, much more veteran savvy Randy Orton, throw him in like, you know, 1985 WCW, he'd run that company. You know, I mean, can you imagine like him and Vintage Flair? Like, oh sweet, you know. But anyways,
No,
getting off topic.
No, not really.
Just like but just like seeing the card, you know, from the match, and seeing the pictures and all the videos, like you could kind of get a, you know, I got that vintage Deep South 80s wrestling kind of vibe from all of it, and it was really cool to see. So yeah, I was totally, you know, it captured my imagination. You know, it really did, and I was like, that's really cool. Like, yeah, it sucks we didn't really get to see the whole show, and we probably won't. But you know, it's cool to know that that some people got to see something really, really kind of as an homage to Deep South '80s wrestling, as you kind of said.
Yeah, and it makes me long for those days because, you know, I'm glad that the network has certain shows I can go back to and be like, oh yeah, man, I remember, because that's the stuff I grew up on. Not necessarily the true South wrestling, but I would rather have watched the NWA style, WCW style, than WWE style. And now going back and watching it, I realize that some of it's sloppy, but some of the, like you said, the Flair Steamboat, even Flair Steam.
Oh yeah, Flair Steam too.
Those guys, I guess in a way, sorry. One of the reasons why I'm saying that is because they have their table for three up with Sting, Ric Flair, and Steamboat. If you want to reminisce with them about the good old days of wrestling, go watch that, because they mourn that kayfabe's dead. I mourn, in a way, that kayfabe's dead. The Southern style kayfabe. You thought that these people really hated each other, and just they beat the snot out of each other. And I'm glad that this era of WWE is PG, in the sense that I don't want to see the Attitude Era stuff outside of the bleeding. I hate to say that.
Yeah, because it makes you sound like bloodthirsty,
yeah,
or
and
like,
I'm not bloodthirsty, but part of the bleeding, it made people think it was real. Why did we, like, the whole Brock Lesnar and Randy Orton, when Brock went hard way on him, like, all of us had that kayfabe, like that feeling that, oh man, this is real. I missed that. And even if we were to find out later, okay, that was planned and fine. But in that moment,
Yeah, we were like,
It was real.
yeah.
I missed that, and I wish they were able to figure out how to bring that back in ways. There are aspects of me that I love the cruiserweight stuff because they do crazy athletic stuff that you won't see anywhere else. And so 205 Live, if you like the crazy athletic stuff that you'll see nowhere else outside of indie wrestling, go watch that. If you like the hard hitting stuff, you can watch NXT because there are a lot of NXT hard hitting matches. But if you like the WWE product, there's Raw. If you like kind of the stepchild product of WWE, there's SmackDown.
Uh-huh.
I like that seems to be middle ground stuff. I like SmackDown, but I really miss the old school feeling of we're going to the schoolyard and we're going to beat each other up.
Yeah.
We're just going to destroy each other. I think part of it is because the spectacle has taken over. Like we're so worried about spectacle, but now they did StarrCade. I'm hoping they do more. Like it sounds like they're going to make StarrCade an annual thing, which is great. I hope that doesn't lessen it, but they need to bring back some of those other old school, like regional things. You know, they could go do Los Angeles style wrestling and call it something there.
Yeah.
You know.
Like now that you're kind of saying it, like NXT is kind of a territory with its own style. Like it
is.
basically is, because like most of the time it's just down there in Florida. You know, hardly ever do they travel around, you know, and put on shows not in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
You know, hardly ever. I mean,
yeah, they do travel southern.
They
style.
do travel sometimes, but yeah, it's like, you know, they don't really travel outside of the southeast really when they do travel.
Like once a year they may go.
I mean,
random places.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously the takeovers, you know, they're in the same place where the big pay-per-view is, but yeah, like it basically is a territory. Like
it is.
It's kind of, you know, I've talked about this in the podcast before. It's been a long time though, but like in the Stone Cold podcast with AJ Styles, he was talking about his days in the Indies, and then they talked about TNA for a good deal. And so he's just like, you know, what were your thoughts on TNA? He goes, well, I went in there and I just thought, oh, this is just another independent promotion. It's like, oh no, they actually have some, you know, they actually have a TV deal. They actually do pay-per-views. They actually have some pretty, you know, fairly big names here, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, you know, and it's fun. He's like, you know, if you look at my time in TNA, you know, especially in the mid to late 2000s, he's like, you know, TNA was then what NXT is now. And it's just like, yeah, it's, you know, because like NXT basically is a indie territory that WWE owns, you know, and so like that's really neat to think because it's always in the same building, you know, and you know they have just such hardcore devoted fans. Some people, you know, the wrestling and the character stuff is better, like, you know, most of the time, and so yeah, it kind of is, you know, a territory in its own right, even though it is, you know, basically WWE's, you know, minor leagues.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is. It does, like, and yeah, I'm with you on the kayfabe thing. Yeah, it is, you know, kind of, you know, it's weird because it's like, you know, oh man, I love Harry Potter. Oh, I love Harry Potter too. Nobody steps in and goes, you know, it's fake, right? But with wrestling. You know, we always talk about that. With wrestling, people are like, yeah, oh, I love wrestling. It's fun. Like, you know, it's fake, right? Oh my gosh, really? Like, I'm not 5. Of course I know. But, I mean, and, you know, to anybody who is in wrestling, I would never say it's fake.
Yeah.
Because
it's not.
Because, like, you don't go up to an actor and say, hey, what you do is fake. It's like, well, yeah, no kidding, dummy. Like,
it's story driven.
Yeah, I mean, like in the 30 for 30, the Nature Boy is like, you know, do you hate it when people say wrestling's fake? He goes, yeah, because it's not, because you could still get hurt. Like, he's like, you know, like, you can say it's choreographed, you can say it's planned, you can say predetermined, you know, whatever. He goes, but don't say it's fake because, you know, guys still get hurt. And, you know, I remember in the Jericho podcast, he was like, he even more so, just like, I hate when people say it's fake. It's just like, oh, really? Tell that to Edge, who can't do anymore. Tell that to Owen Hart's family. You know, don't say it's fake. He's like, you know, would you go up to Russell Crowe and be like, you know, you're not really a gladiator, right? Like, and he's just like, yeah, no kidding. Yeah, I wouldn't do that to Russell Crowe.
No, Russell Crowe.
That dude's like, yeah, he's like a hardcore.
Legit.
Yeah. So yeah, I do kind of, getting lost in the quote unquote the cinematic aspect of it. Of these are characters and you're involved in a story. And you're just like, oh man, that Stephanie McMahon is out here bothering Kurt Angle again. God, man, I hate it. And I still can get like that sometimes. And I'm just like, kind of just like, I kind of miss that aspect of it sometimes. Of just, of getting into it the way you get into like a TV show or a movie, because it's just like for some reason, like you still can, but then, it's just the whole thing of like, huh, was that planned or was that not planned? Like, because of the whole, like you brought up the Lesnar opening up Orton and then Vince McMahon taking the headbutt and then the worked shoot that Roman and Cena did. Like, we were just like, okay, were they just like, hey, let's not take, we know that this stuff isn't personal. Like, let's just go out there, shoot from the hip, say some nasty stuff to each other, but we know that it's just for the show. Or did they really just like, hey, don't hold back because I'm not holding back. I don't like you, blah, blah, stuff like that can really just make, whoa, sweet. I like what's going on here. So, yeah, it's, StarrCade was a good lightning rod for helping recapture the old school style and for helping, harken back to the glory days of the wrestling style of the South. Started with not really started with, but was kind of prevalent with WCW and Hogan, Steamboat, or not Hogan, Flair, and Steamboat, and
Hogan
Sting,
was part
and
of some AWAs and stuff like that.
Oh, excuse me.
I guess AWA was up north. Never mind. That was Minnesota. Like, see, they can even do Minnesota. Like, you know what I mean? Like, anyway, sorry.
Yeah.
I long for those days. That's why I watch the old school wrestling on the network that I can.
Yeah, I'd like to try to find some like Stampede wrestling, like Calgary stuff. Some Stampede wrestling, because like Jericho was up there, and
A lot of people.
I think Guerrero maybe. I know Benoit was, and I think maybe Guerrero might have been or something. But yeah, it's just like Canadian wrestling and Japanese wrestling is like kind of the tops stuff. So, but yeah,
and British is coming on the scene. Everywhere is different, and I know you have your own cup of tea. So far I like a majority of the wrestling out there, but anyway.
Indeed.
I think we're tired. It's time to go watch some wrestling.
Yeah, it's time to chill and just go watch some wrestling. Got a lot of stuff on my to-do list that I can find right on the WWE network. Just only a month. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, about a month.
$9.99 a month or something. I don't know. Pretty well priced for the amount of content you get.
Yep.
Well, I think that's a good place to end it. That was a cool idea to talk about StarrCade a little bit, and have to see if somebody just taped the whole thing on their phone. Just find like an hour and a half long video
online.
Stupid.
That'd be crazy.
Phone.
So I don't know if next week you want to go over the matches we gave each other, our homework, because I watched mine.
Okay.
So if you want to do that next week.
Yeah, let's do that next week. Yeah, because I watched it, but I don't remember it because it was forever ago. So,
sure.
All right, yeah, we'll do that. We'll in the bottom half of the show, at the end of the show, we'll do that. We
gave each other homework, and we're gonna talk about our homework.
Yeah.
And yell at each other for making us watch that homework. I'm just kidding. We both. I feel like the match that you gave me was pretty okay. So I won't tell you what it is.
Pretty okay. Yeah. We'll talk about it.
I gave Caleb an older one, so it might be it. Some of it is pretty spectacular for being in the 80s, but some of it is just like, oh, it's 80s wrestling.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll do that. We'll go back and watch those, and then we'll report on them, and then we'll give each other more homework for the week after that. So thanks for stopping by. This is Caleb.
This is Jeremy.
Signing off.
Peace.